Rings of Power for the Sega Genesis is an incredible open-world RPG with a game board like isometric map, rich lore that's really interesting, numerous NPCs with memorable lines, a world that's absolutely massive for a 16-bit era game, and some really catchy tunes. The game stands out among console RPGs, though it comes with some big caveats related to its age and presentation. Just a warning, I'll be diving into the narrative so there will be a lot of story spoilers. The world of Ushkabao is in ruin. It used to be a paradise under the divine influence of the Nexus and its staff of creation. Nexus gifted the people with the 6 arts to help guide their lives. But the demon called Void brought about destruction and an age of chaos in a terrifying cataclysm. Eventually Nexus confronted Void, but their battle ended up causing the staff to get split into 2, and then further divided into 11 rings. Both sides are biding their time now, waiting for a chance to re-emerge. But the whole world is fractured, still reeling from the after effects of that past battle hundreds of years later. This is where you, playing as a sorcery student named Buck, come in. You've been summoned by your teacher Thalmus to the academy where you and several fellow sorcerers are studying the art of the mind. Ushkabao is still a dangerous place. Most of the people are stuck inside their homes. You can be killed at any moment, especially early on where one wrong encounter can wipe you out. A group of guards roams the land and demands a tax to their king, which you don't want to refuse because they're really powerful. Rings of Power was actually developed by Naughty Dog, the same studio that made Last of Us and Uncharted. I had no idea they even made an open world RPG for the Sega Genesis. There is also an interesting connection to Last of Us, and I know it's a bit of a stretch, but the story in Rings of Power mentions the world was nearly destroyed by a plague before Nexus came. So it's kind of amusing to think of Last of Us as a prequel to the Rings of Power. For your first quest, your teacher, Thalmus, sent you on a simple mission to retrieve the Sorcerer's Eye. When you return with the eye, Thalmus starts telling you about his secret research. He's uncovered the fact that the 11 Rings of Legend are real, and you have to find them. Suddenly, another of your fellow students fires magical spells and assassinates him. Thalmus ends up turned into a mound of flesh. Something about the simplicity of the sprites makes it feel even more gruesome. Before you can be killed, Thalmus uses his last bit of energy to transport you and your fellow sorcerers away to safety. From there, Rings of Power opens up and gives you total freedom. You can do whatever you want in any order, which includes recruiting other members from the remaining guilds, search for the rings, or just wander and see the fascinating but weird world of Ushkabao. For PC gamers, this might have been standard fare, but on the Sega Genesis, this was pretty awesome. The world building is easily my favorite part of the game, like in the city of Division. You enter the Guild of Pieces to recruit your first party member, and learn the knights were given the art of division and separation. Like the name suggests, they're best at cutting things to pieces, but that isn't just limited to the physical. In most cases, this dedication to division leads to strength and bravery. But in some cases, as we'll see, it leads to corruption and tyranny. The way the NPCs work are that they have 4 categories you can ask them about. Most NPCs in a given town share their dialogue, but you can often dig out quest-specific lines. It seems convoluted at first, but you start getting the hang of it after a few interactions. The quest to recruit the necromancer is one of my favorites, even though it's pretty macabre. In the City of Blood, just entering the Necromantic Academy gives you chills up your spine. The floor has skulls on its welcoming mat, and you see the dark-robed necromancers within. Remember, death is not the end of life, life is the beginning of death, one of them tells you. He goes on about the Deadlands and how the key to necromancy lies in using their art to transport themselves to the Deadlands to speak with the dead. But he won't let you in to see the guildmaster unless you do him a favor. Can you deliver a corpse to a funeral for him? And his reason? He has a hot date he doesn't want to miss. When you pick up the corpse, its face appears to be bashed in and one of its eyes eerily peers at you. You have to cart it around until midnight before heading to the cemetery, which in itself is pretty creepy. I don't think I've ever had to deliver a corpse in a game. Despite seeming sacrilegious, the other necromancer doesn't seem too surprised and takes the body to finish the ceremony. Finally, you can meet the guildmaster. He tells you that he's pleased Thalmus has gone on to greener pastures. The only person you meet who's happy about the news of your old teacher's death. He hands you the symbol of the necromancers and promises to have one join only if the enchanters join as well. What I liked about this sequence is it shows the arts aren't just superficial ideas that the people of the world pay lip service to, but are actually concepts that guide their everyday lives and their approach to everything around them. Some of these quests are ridiculously complex, though there's a refreshing degree of freedom in the way you tackle them. The quest to recruit the Conjurer is a long one, but you don't have to follow the way the designers intended. The only way to reach the Guildmaster of the Conjurers is with the Key of Perfection. A random guy in town knows the location but wants Flamewood for a special spell he's making. The best clue is with a hermit meditating by an oasis near the City of Chaos. Take the long trip there and the hermit tells you the location of the cave that has the Flamewood, but also lets you know that the treasure is locked by a special key. You need to speak with someone at the Lobotomy Club who used to have the key, but when you find him, he tells you he sold it. If you buy him a drink, he gives you the coordinates for the conjurer who bought it. Ride a boat to her place and she'll offer it to you, but only if you retrieve her ogre's egg from a bunch of conjurers who stole it from her. You can track them down and fight the thieves to get the egg for her, or you can go GTA style and just attack her to retrieve the key and skip that entire leg of the quest. The choice is totally up to you. And if that all sounds like a lot, consider that I actually skipped a few of the steps here too. The quests are multi-layered. It's never just go fetch one thing and then you're done. The interconnectedness extends to every aspect of the game, including commerce. Things cost a lot, and buying things cheap in one city and selling them for a profit is key to your journey. You can also bribe shopkeepers to get better deals. This also plays out in an interesting way in the town of Chaos, which has a church devoted to both Void and Nexus on the same grounds. A group of people driven mad by Void are locked inside a small cell, and it's very disturbing reading their chaotic rants. The Void Priest is candid and implies the reason he hates Nexus and wants their own side to win is that he doesn't want to take a bath every day. The 6 arts are the guiding force, and each of them has a place and purpose among the various towns, of which there's quite a few. When you visit the kingdom of Ritchie, you meet the queen who's an archer that studied the art of force. Just like her training, she's all about advancing the sciences and human knowledge, and has even built a giant observatory. The Ring of Advancing is somewhere within her castle walls, and the quest revolves around helping them set up their giant telescope. But things also take a tragic turn when you meet one of your fellow sorcerers, Emino, who was sent here after Thalmus' death. He's also trying to find the rings and at first seems helpful, but he eventually betrays you and attacks you to take your ring. The idea of advancing in force seems good on the surface, but when there's an actual human toll, it's much more disturbing. You gain the ring but lose your friend in the process. It's a bleak and difficult outcome. The students of Thalmus should be working together to find the rings, not fighting each other. The Kingdom of Dagonia is where you find the Ring of Division. These are also the jerks who took your money in the name of attacks early on. You can't even enter to see the regent without giving up all your money. The regent immediately sends you on a mission. Kill the criminal who cheated him in a game of poker. But if you track the guy down in the City of Commerce, he swears he didn't cheat and he'll disappear if you let him go. He also says something pretty cynical: those who say money can't buy happiness don't know where to shop. When you return to Dagonia, the regent thanks you and reveals he was lying since he just hated losing. He then sends you on several more quests, including one to find the Milk of Youth, which is in a town that's split into all young kids and all elder villagers. They stay in their respective parts of town, rarely interacting, which made me wonder, were they really kids, or adults who'd taken the milk and refused to share with the others? After you retrieve the milk from the fountain, you have to take the regent down and end this divisive rule. I really appreciated how the game incorporated the theme of division in the quest for its ring, and showed you how corrupt the regent had been, not just in the quest, but the soldiers who basically rob you before you even got there. There's also a really cool connection later on in Tutu's tower where you get captured by a mad enchanter. You're pretty much stuck there unless you saved Fiver, the poker player, who comes to your rescue and frees you. Your earlier choice impacts the journey in a meaningful way. That's also the case with a thief you find during the Archer mission. The Archer you're trying to recruit has been taken captive in the Mines of Misery. The only way to find its location is by bribing a prisoner and breaking him out of jail, who then marks it on the map for you. Later on in their secret Volcano base, that same thief will let you break into their vault and take the Holy Seal, one of the most key items in the game, to repay you for your act of mercy. While the party members you recruit don't say anything to you, they express their personalities through their awesome spells, which totally shift the landscape of battles. These can be automated or manually controlled, and I love the grand animations for the spells, like Mirage that creates an army to confuse your enemies, or Twister which summons a giant tornado. You can also summon an enormous worm that's pretty badass and burns the enemies to crisp. Whereas when you first start the game, battles are really hard. Once you have the full party, you become a force to reckon with. And you'll need it on your quest as there's lots of enemies to defeat. When you go after the Ring of Blood, Buck has to kill many people and spill a whole lot of blood. these aren't evil minions, but people defending their ring. It felt wrong on many different levels and got me wondering, what ultimately are they fighting for? The Ring of Thoughts challenges you on a more cerebral level, asking you 5 questions. It also has one of the biggest cheats in the game. You can continually answer the questions and power up your character to the max. For those who just want to experience the game without the hassle of grinding, it's a nifty exploit to use. The Ring of Will lives up to its name and tested my will. The head of the Thieving Guild claims he found a ring inside a bagel. The only way he'll give it to you is if you find a special leaf, but finding this leaf is painful as it's located inside one of the most convoluted and visually confusing mazes I've ever played. I kept on getting lost, even with the help of a FAQ. I'd even go so far as to say this was the hardest part of the game. Hours later, when I finally found the leaf and gave it back to the thief, he told me he traded it away for a trinket. No exaggeration, I wanted to throw my controller at him. For the Ring of Bile, you have to help a necromancer complete his resurrection spell, but to do that, he needs a thespian's mustache. At first it seems like a random and funny ingredient thrown in, but I realized there's a deeper meaning to it. Thespians and the arts keep ideas and historical figures alive. It's a form of resurrection, like the way Shakespeare brings to life historical figures who passed away long ago. The game has a sense of humor, like with these random beggars who ask for money, and channel the developers to scream, "Pixels and more pixels, I'm sick of pixels!" And "Did someone say redo the combat a 5th time? I need a haircut!" The sign at the Town of Perfection reads, "No littering, no loud noise, no shirts, no shoes, no cape, no conjuring, no fun, no kidding." There's also the Ring of Mutation, where a ring turns into a random human and gets to learn about humanity. It may seem trivial, but up here one finds that even the smallest task is of great importance. I almost felt bad having Buck turn her back into a ring. It is a long journey, but after finally gathering all the rings, you take your party to face the final battle. Buck has to defeat his master's assassin, Darius. Like Buck, he's had his own quest and his own party, but he draws his power from Void, and he explains that his plan was to sit back and let you do the hard work of gathering all the rings while he partied up in the City of Chaos. Smartest villain I've faced in an RPG in some time. The battle is really hard, even with your party at the highest level, but you can summon your old master to help. His giant head hovers over the battlefield as he flashes energy to take down Darius and his party. The symbolism and the cycle of it all was very powerful. But even as you emerge victorious, it feels like a hollow victory. Nexus gives you this staff, but since Void checked out of the world, he leaves too, making me wonder, why did I even do all of this in the first place? As a chess piece at the whims of higher beings, what did all the violence achieve other than suffering? You're left by yourself to explore freely, but it's not like you can go back to the academy since most of your classmates are dead. Rings of Power is very self-aware of RPG and fantasy tropes, but uses them to ask interesting questions about the genre and the ultimate value of the hero's journey. As much as I love the story, I want to deal with some of the caveats I mentioned at the beginning. First off, it's sometimes really hard to figure out what to do next. It's vital you find the Sextant, which is in a cave behind the falls east of the town of Speed. This gives you coordinates on the map to help you find all sorts of things, and NPCs will often tell you where you need to go by giving you those coordinates. I think the developers knew how hard some of the quests were, so they included a FAQ in the manual. One other thing that took me out of the game was even after you complete quests, it isn't reflected in NPC dialogue, so it's like it never happened. On the positive side, NPCs can't block your way and instead swap positions with you when you bump into them. Also, you can talk to them from a distance as long as you're pointed in their direction, so you don't have to be right next to them to communicate. I do love the various modes of transportation. Airships in Final Fantasy are cool, but here you can get your own dinosaur, or even better yet, a dragon you use to fly all over the world, though it takes up a lot of food and water. Constantly maintaining food and water levels is a little frustrating as you'll starve if they run out, but once you get the hang of commerce, it's not too bad as you'll have plenty of money. Also, once you purchase stones, you can automatically summon any vehicles you need, including dragons and boats, which is pretty convenient. But even with the extra modes of transportation, the controls aren't great, and the movement is very choppy. I constantly overshot my destination because there was a slight gap between my pushing the controller and the step actually registering. I do like how the battles feature different modes of AI related to the mood you set. There's also a sound test from the menu, which is great since the music is one of my favorite parts of the game. The graphics do a good job conveying the world. Character portraits are cool, but they, along with the in-game sprites, tend to repeat. Still, given the scope of the game, I think overall it works well. Even though the gameplay and graphics have their issues, for me personally, the lore and the world building are so compelling, I was okay with it. Rings of Power is a big, ambitious game that really deserves a bigger audience than it initially got. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to get the actual game. I found a used copy on eBay that was a little banged up but still worked. There haven't been any digital re-releases. I hope Naughty Dog one day revisits this game because it's really that good. Thanks so much for watching this review. One little surprise I had was learning the game was published by EA. I can't believe it's been this long, but almost 20 years ago, I worked at EA's LA studio for a short time on a James Bond game called GoldenEye: Rogue Agent. Different era, I know, but still, it was really fun to see this creative game in EA's distant past, and I hope we can see more games of this vein in the future. As for me, I'm still working on the Phantasy Star 3 review. All footage is recorded, and I just need to finish up the script. So, until then, see you all next time.